So, ladies, guess what?
What?
Both the dates I was supposed to go on this week got canceled unceremoniously. Well, the second one, it's fine because we rescheduled for next Friday.
Oh,
She was
okay.
having some lady parts problems.
Oh, okay.
IUDs, they're a bitch. But yeah, I feel like my role in online dating is fucking critical.
Wait, what episode is this?
We're talking about Critical Role!
Becky.
Hello, everybody in Free Rotation Nation Rural. Welcome to the Free Rotation podcast. I couldn't speak English for a second.
I don't know what happened there.
I don't know. But welcome to another episode of the Free Rotation podcast. I am joined by the hair himself, Bobby.
Hi.
It does look pretty good, too.
And my favorite biscuit in the world, Angela. Oh, with her cowboy hat that doesn't fit over her headphones.
It had to be a fucking really one of those like giant foam ones you get at the fair.
Yeah. Ones that stretch.
Yeah.
She really likes that cowboy hat, though. It's really funny.
I can tell.
Mhm.
Fuck, we need to get her a duster and some fucking cowboy boots and
Yeah.
match with it. Oh, we can put a harness on fucking not harness, a saddle on Riesling.
Yeah, and she can ride like.
Ride her like a unicorn.
Well, speaking of riding on saddles, because that makes all the sense in the world. Today's episode is about my favorite fandom in the entire world, Critical Role.
Yeah, I don't know anything about this. All I know is the memes that I've seen on
Well-
Facebook, and it's entertaining.
Well, here's what you need to know. It's, at its core, a bunch of nerdy-ass voice actors sitting around playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Like that Dan Harmon show. It's probably better.
Oh, you're gonna die today. This is the episode I kill Bobby.
Whoa, Mrs. I don't like the Breakfast Club.
Okay, we're gonna have an episode on that one day because I really don't like the Breakfast Club. But you know, everything has an origin story, so I'm gonna give you the origin story of Critical Role, and it's kind of important because it's part of the reason why it became such a behemoth. The early hype for it was that the casts have quite lengthy careers in the gaming and anime industry as voice actors and talent.
And you'll be surprised that you actually know a lot of these people.
Oh, fair.
So here we're going to go. Bobby, let us know when you recognize somebody who is in this talent. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Mercer, who is the DM of Critical Role, which probably makes sense that he has a very high and wide range of vocal talent, including Levi Ackerman from Attack on Titan, Trafalgar Law from One Piece, Gangplank and Wolf from League of Legends, along with probably his most famous video game character role that he's ever done, which is
Let's do it.
It's High Noon.
Yeah, I don't know what any of that is.
You know,
Yeah.
from Overwatch?
No, I don't know. What the fuck's One Piece and Attack on Titan? What kind
You are
of
such the worst weeb ever.
what weeboo shit
He
are you forcing?
knows what
I know I'm
this
just
is.
being obtuse on purpose.
Knows.
Yeah,
Holy shit! I used a big word. Yes.
you did use a big word.
Oh, everybody take a shot. Fantastic.
And
I
just
like
chug-
it.
Just chug the bottle.
All right, Laura Bailey. And she's pretty much one of the biggest A-list stars for voice acting.
Mm-hmm.
She played young Trunks in Dragon Ball Z, Toru from Fruits Baskets, which I love Fruits Baskets,
One of my favorites.
Lust from Full Metal Alchemist,
Best character ever.
and pretty much every character in every video game ever.
So I want to go on a tangent about lust. Not like a bad tangent. Is it weird that I'm actually kind of attracted to Envy? I know it's like she's trans and stuff, or like non-discriminate gender, but Envy's hot.
well, in her attitude.
Yeah. Oh, I love
some
a
Evil
snarky sass.
yeah.
I haven't watched all of Full Metal Alchemist. I don't know what you're talking about. She also used to be the voice actor for Akali in League
Spoiler
of
alert,
Legends.
Envy's their mom. Okay, let's go.
Okay, we got there. Yay!
That's a big spoiler, too. I hope you all liked it.
It's like 10 years old. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Liam O'Brien, who is sort of the same as
but
Laura.
Akali from League of Legends.
I did say that.
Yeah.
I said that, Angie.
Akali.
We're professional.
Liam O'Brien, who is sort of the same as Laura Bailey, in which he's been in a ton of animes and video games, including my least favorite anime ever, Bleach.
That's not true. You watched all of it.
I know, until it ended and the manga sucked. Yeah.
Do you want to drink some?
Drink some bleach?
That was the
That was
joke.
the joke, John
That was
Dick.
the joke.
He's also in Naruto, and he's Yasuo from League of Legends.
Hasugi!
He's also now a voice director and writer mainly, and was really the reason why the original campaign for Critical Role started. Travis Willingham. And if you know anything about Full Metal Alchemist, you know that this is the man who voiced Roy Mustang, and which really catapulted his career as a voice actor.
Yeah, that shit. He's fucking.
Yeah.
It's raining. No, it's crying.
Oh. He's also done a bunch of voices for different games, such as being basically the voice of Thor for all of the Marvel games and the Ultimate Spider-Man series. And he was Harvey Dent and Two-Face in Arkham Asylum. And Reno Jackson in
Jackson. We're gonna be rich.
And he also was Big Jane in Nip Tuck.
He was.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I never watched Nip Tuck. It was kind of like.
This was the best character on that show, to be honest.
It was kind of before my time because that show came on when I was like in middle school and it wasn't an adult
it was a
drama.
little before my time too, but
it was needlessly, weirdly, disgustingly sexual.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But he played Big Jane.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
He played Big Jane. She had a softer voice.
Oh, my bad. I never saw Nip Tuck, so I don't know. Marisha Ray, and she's
my favorite. No, actually, second favorite.
Okay, she's done a lot of voice acting as well as games for Persona 4, Friday the 13th, and Fire Emblem Heroes. But I think she's been pretty great as the creative director for Geek and Sundry and Critical Role. And she's produced a lot of really cool stuff for both companies. So she's sort of more of the creative director for a lot of stuff. My favorite thing is when she's like Soldier A in like Call of Duty and all she does is like, oh, I've been hit.
Oh, that sounded vaguely sexual for a minute and I was kind of getting horny.
Oh my gosh. Okay, no, not that kind of game. All right, Sam Riegel, who's
Play
also...
a love game.
Oh my God, you're so funny. Sam Riegel is also a voice actor along with a writer and a director. He's done a bunch of different animes, films, and videos, including being Donatello for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Slash from DuckTales, and Furio Tigre from Ace Attorney. He's also won a Daytime Emmy for outstanding directing in an animated program and is married to Liam O'Brien.
What was that? What's the program?
I think it was like, I don't actually know.
Wait. He's really married to Liam O'Brien?
No, they call each other husbands, but they're not really married. They're married to actual women and have kids, but then when they're together, they're married to each other.
That's like how me and Blaze are. Like, who was going on a tangent? Sorry, I'm taking it away. No, we went to a fancy Italian restaurant, and the owner, we bumped into him outside while we're trying to park his massive truck, and he's like, "Are you and your partner okay?" Because I'm sitting in the fucking front seat. And the joke is with Laura and Blaze, like that Laura's always fucking forever third wheeling with us too.
So that, yeah. See, that's kind of what it is.
We did see that in your pictures that you post from your trip.
Yeah, that's
By the
kind
way,
of...
when you were hitting the thing and kind of dancing.
Oh, that place was fucking... Meow Wolf is easily the most... It's fucking hard to focus there because of all the shit, but there's like a mystery and stuff. We should go sometime. They're opening one in Denver and then one in Vegas.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Taliesin Jaffe,
Good. Next.
who is immortal. He was Kenny Butler, Mr. Mom as a kid, and has been a voice director and actor throughout most of his career, along with a scriptwriter.
The fucking Michael Keaton movie?
Yeah.
God damn.
All right. Yeah. See, there's some people like you recognize when you start to hear like who they are. And then Angie's favorite.
My favorite.
She's so hot.
Ashley Johnson, who you know is Chrissy Seaver from Growing Pains, which I loved as a kid. She's also been in acting since she was a kid, including on Roseanne, and more recently as Patterson from Blind Spot.
Didn't the main guy from Growing Pains turn to like a fucking religious dick?
Yeah, he's like a super religious dick now. Yeah.
Oh.
It's like the complete opposite of her. She was also supposed to be Captain America's love interest after the first Avengers movie where she played Beth, but that got cut for something stupider. Also, she's Ellie from The Last of Us.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
You know we're getting a live action version of that shit.
Yeah, I saw that.
Do you see that, Angie? Getting live action Last of Us by HBO.
Really?
Yeah.
What's his face? Guy that played Jamie Lannister.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the
I thought that they were just like that. He would be the perfect like person.
He looks
to play
like
Joel.
him.
Yeah, he does look.
Just
like
fix up his hair and we keep the beard from Game of Thrones. It's him.
Yeah, and the new Last of Us game is supposed to come out this year, so we'll have a new Last of Us. But that's Ashley Johnson. And it's also important to note that Orion Akaba was also an original cast member, but due to some difficulties behind the scenes, he left after the 27th episode of Campaign 1, which sucks for him.
I'm gonna imagine there was some sexual harassment behind the scenes.
There actually kind of was.
Yep, I fucking called it.
There was some rumor. This is all rumor, but like some of the stuff he would say to like the female people on Critical Role, like you could see Laura Bailey's eyes, like she was not having that kind of shit.
Oh. I thought he got mad at he said Matt Mercer just kind of made up rules as he went.
No.
Didn't he start that?
No, this guy was like, there was a lot going on. If you watch his last few episodes, you could kind of see where they were getting sick of his shit. Yeah. So the origins of Critical Role are actually pretty basic. Liam O'Brien had been wanting to play D&D for a while, and part of this was due to him and Sam having a podcast called All Work, No Play, where they basically talked about how they really didn't have time to do anything recreational since they worked and had kids. So for his birthday, he wanted to play a one-shot, which he had been in discussions with Matt Mercer about doing, because Matt Mercer's been playing D&D since he was like 14. But they never really had time to do it, so Matt had basically hyped up D&D enough to get the interest in it for a bunch of people. So initially the game was just a one-off for funsies type thing, but Liam had enjoyed it so much that he emailed everyone to see if they wanted to continue it. However, if you hear his story, he said basically nobody answered him at first. They were just like, okay, well, I guess that was a good time. All right, cool. That's nice. But after a while, everyone apparently did enjoy it a lot, and it became a campaign that the group would play every 6 weeks or whenever they had available time. And it would be all day. They would start at like 6 a.m. till like 2:00 a.m.
Fuck.
Yeah, they played all day because they could only meet like once every 6 or 8 weeks.
I thought our sessions we have like every Sunday or other Sunday. Like it's like we start like at 12 to 2 and we'll play like 8. I thought that's long.
Yeah.
But fuck, give me smoke breaks I had to take during that shit.
Yeah, well, they like drink and eat and, playing their jammies and stuff.
When we used to play, we'd play all day.
Yeah, we would play like hardcore all day. If we only played for 4 hours, that was a short session. Ashley Johnson actually was not in the initial like one-shot game, but would join later when Travis Willingham couldn't be there. And her character kind of became, I'll go into it a little bit, but they basically became best friends as a way to introduce her into the campaign. After that, the group did play what would be campaign 1 of Critical Role. And in that first one-shot, Taliesin Jaffe had played a Dragonborn Paladin to show everyone the ropes, since nobody had ever played Dungeons & Dragons other than really Matt Mercer. But he would later roll a gunslinger who would become his character throughout campaign 1.
Oh, they're playing 3.5?
So what it started was, well, they started out, the one-shot was a simplified 4th edition game. And then they switched it to Pathfinder.
Yeah, Pathfinder's better than 4th.
4 sucks.
Yeah, 5th is fine.
5th is good.
But 3.5, I think.
Yeah.
5th is really good if you're brand new.
Yes.
Because your alignment really doesn't matter, except for like if you're chaotic good, you can't fucking tear apart villagers and stuff.
Right.
3.5, actually, you have to go with it, which...
And same for Pathfinder. It was the same concept. The reason they ended up switching to 5th edition in Critical Role, because that was right when the show started is when 5th edition came out. So they got a lot of sponsorship off of 5th edition coming out.
Oh, this has been out for a minute then.
It's been out since 2015.
Well, Becky, how did Critical Role get on air?
Well, if you remember the internet from the early to mid 2010s, like, you're probably familiar with the one, the only Felicia Day.
Love her.
If you know anything about being
Love
geeky.
her.
And her previous company, Geek and Sundry, which would produce a lot of different game series, including Will Wheaton's Tabletop and Spooked. One day just go back and look and just Google like Will Wheaton's Tabletop. It was kind of the proponent of board games.
You'd love it.
All this is going over my pompadour, which is hard to do.
Do you know who Felicia Day is?
Yeah, she's the lesbian girl in fucking Supernatural.
Yeah. Okay, so she's like a huge geek icon.
Oh, and she ruined Mystery Space thing.
Oh, did she?
No, I never watched it.
I know she was in it.
I just see what incels post. I'm like, y'all are disgusting. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Well, during that time, it was kind of the renaissance of Geek and Sundry, where they had all of these series being produced. Ashley Johnson was actually on Spooked and Tabletop.
Okay, cool.
And she started talking to Felicia about her campaign, which was what would be basically Critical Role. After that, producers from Geek and Sundry actually visited a session one day to see what it was about.
Because remember, Felicia Day was in the guild. That's how she
Oh, she was in that show.
Yeah, that was her show.
Was that on the Geek and Sundry channel or whatever?
It was.
It was
like one of the first shows to come out. I think it actually sort of perpetuated Geek and Sundry.
It was before Geek and Sundry, but then she got so famous from that YouTube channel that she made Geek and Sundry.
Right. So after that, producers came to visit one session. And after that, Felicia Day approached the group about actually airing a weekly show based on their campaign. There was some hesitation regarding it due to some of the ideas being thrown around, including like during combat, jumping onto like a video game and playing combat.
That's fucking stupid.
Which is
that's because Felicia Day and her brother did that.
Right.
Remember, she and her brother would play that.
Well, and it was also difficult for them because you have to remember this was like other than maybe Acquisitions Incorporated, which was like the OG D&D campaign. It's really difficult to broadcast a D&D campaign. Who's going to sit there and just listen to people talk? That's where they were kind of coming from, is just people talking at each other for 4 to 3 hours or whatever. So all of that was kind of scrapped because they didn't think that didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
The group agreed that they would give it like 6 weeks and see where it went. And if it was a complete dumpster fire during that time, they would just go back to playing sessions at home.
Yeah.
The first episode actually aired on March 12th, 2015. So it's been 5 years. And at that time, 5th edition had come out, and so the group had converted their characters to it. So Matt ended up making, if you know anything about Pathfinder, you know that Pathfinder had gunslingers, which was exclusively to Pathfinder. Yeah. 5th edition did not have a gunslinger.
Nope.
So that's kind of where Matt started making new character classes and stuff. So that actually converted a gunslinger to 5th edition for Percy or Taliesin to be able to keep playing his character.
Well, really, Becky, what is Critical Role about?
I'm glad you asked, Angie. As of right now, there is one completed campaign and one ongoing campaign airing, along with some canonical and non-canonical one-shots. The first campaign, which started prior to airing, was about Vox Machina, or the Shits, prior to getting a real name. Their thing stood for Super High Intensity Team. That was their team name, so it was the Shits. But then when they actually started to become famous, they were like, oh, we gotta change this.
No, I remember actually one of their one-offs, they did something with like fucking, like Wendy's or something like that.
Yes.
I remember there was some weird drama.
Oh yeah, they were
like
pissed about the Wendy's stuff. I was like, you guys are so fucking stupid. They need sponsorship.
Yeah, people are dumb.
But it is. I love that it was called the Shits. But Vox Machina actually meant voice machine in Latin, and they're all voice actors.
Oh yeah, wow! We're fucking playing with big brains now.
And the worst part of all of this is I wrote all of my notes off my brain. It wasn't even.
Did you fucking really?
Yes, you could ask me.
Holy
Other than knowing
shit.
their like careers, like going back through their careers, most of this is stuff I just knew. And their rise as okay, so Vox Machina, their story was about their rise as heroes in Tal'Dorei, which is a continent in Exandria. All of Matt Mercer's world takes place in a continent or a world called Exandria. Tal'Dorei is one of the smaller continents. Vox Machina consisted of several members, including Vax, who was a half-elf rogue paladin, his twin sister Vex, who was a half-elf ranger rogue, Grog Strongjaw, Angie's favorite, a Goliath barbarian, his best friend Pike Trickfoot, a gnome cleric, Scanlan Shorthalt, a gnome bard, and Keyleth of the Irishari, a half-elf druid, and Percy, Frederickstein von Musel-Koloski de Rollo III, a human gunslinger. And there was also Tiberius Stormwind, who was a dragonborn sorcerer who left once Orion Okaba left the show. But he ended up having like a weird podcast, like continuing his story. It was really weird. Sam also ended up playing Tyrion Darrington for a bit.
I love this character.
Toward the end of the show, after some conflict between Scanlan and the group. So toward the latter end of the first campaign, there's some difficulties between Scanlan and the group, so he leaves. Like the same episode, Sam pulls out this random character, and everybody's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Tyrion became like the lovable, like he was like, kind of think of the professor from the second book of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. What was his name? Kenneth Branagh played him.
You mean Gilroy Lockhart?
Yes, that was kind of what he was, but he was like a closeted gay guy, but people came to love him.
Oh,
It's one of Angie's favorite characters.
I do love flamboyant actors.
That's exactly what he was. By the time the show,
and he had like a big six companion.
He did. He had a Doty. Doty, take this. His name was Dotier, like Gautier. By the time the show started airing, the characters were already well-established heroes in Tal'Dorei, although more like hometown heroes than how the campaign ended up ending. Throughout campaign 1, it was very much what you expect a high fantasy story to be like, and the characters definitely had some classical archetypes for tabletop gaming. You can kind of compare this to what you expect to see as a fantasy trope for your first D&D campaign. Okay. Critical Role really took off during what was called the Briarwood arc, where the Briarwoods would establish as sort of the long-term threat throughout the series. Oh. The Briarwoods basically took over Percy's hometown of Whitestone in order to use the resources in the city for some nefarious purposes later established toward the end of the campaign.
I'm actually going to watch this. Is there any way don't
You don't want me to go through the major spoilers?
Yeah.
Okay, I can skip all of that.
Well, no, what you can do is you guys can come back and record it if that's cool, because I'm actually kind of interested now.
Okay.
Is that okay, Angie?
Mm-hmm.
Just making sure.
So I will go back to this will be major spoilers if you have not watched Critical Role.
Okay, Becky. It's just you and me. What are the spoilers?
Okay, spoiler time. After the Briarwoods were defeated, then the threat turned to the Chroma Conclave, a group of 5 chromatic dragons who banded together to destroy Exandria. But after the defeat of Thordak, who was the red chromatic dragon, and the mastermind behind the attacks, Raishan, the green chromatic dragon, Vox Machina had pretty much established themselves as the heroes throughout the realm. After a time lapse, Vox Machina is called again to deal with one of the biggest baddies in D&D, Vecna. What viewers didn't know early on with the Briarwoods was that they were working on unleashing Vecna through a ritual via Whitestone, which was thwarted by Vox Machina unknowingly. Later, the Briarwoods are successful and resurrect Vecna in order to ascend him to godhood via a ritual of seeding. Vox Machina then sought to aid the other gods in order to defeat Vecna, which was done so successfully with only a loss to Vox Machina. It's also important to note that Joe Manganiello, who was a guest at the time, stole the hand of Vecna once he was defeated. Good job, dude.
Mm-hmm. Is that it for your spoilers?
That's my spoilers. So one of the big things that drew people to Critical Role, other than just the story, was the relationships garnered between the characters. Vex and Vax are twins who were pretty much spurned after being basically half elf, half human. Neither side really liked them, and relied heavily on each other throughout their lives, even to the point where Vax vowed to become the champion of the Raven Queen to save Vex when she was killed the first time. Because in D&D you can die.
Yep.
And this is a big story, so of course,
yeah,
you're not really gonna die.
You're not really gonna die, but you could really die. Meanwhile, okay. Okay, some of this is spoilery.
Like major spoilers?
You know what? Actually, this is what I would suggest, Bobby. They are kind of major spoilers, but I would suggest you watch the second campaign before you watch the first campaign.
Really?
Anyways. Yeah. Because it's ongoing right now, like the second campaign. So I'm gonna go through some of these as spoilers, but they're not huge spoilers.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
Then, yeah.
I'll
forget.
Yeah. Let's see, let me go back. During the last arc, Vax ended up becoming a remnant after being killed, only to remain alive until Vox Machina defeated Vecna. After that, he joined the Raven Queen and, for all intents and purposes, died, quote unquote. Meanwhile, Vax and Vex had become an item, which was
Vax and Keela.
Oh, Vax and Vex. That would be really awkward.
Yeah, incest is a...
That's my bad. Okay. Yeah, Vax and Keyleth became an item, which was probably one of the funniest things to witness since it was D&D, but it was really sweet. It's actually funny if you watch those early episodes of when they were kind of talking to each other. Everybody would put their t-shirts over their heads or cover their head because they're well, how do we react to this? This is so awkward. But after a while you get used to it.
Fair. Now, are they dating in real life too? Or?
No. So this was Marisha Ray, who's married to Matt Mercer, and Liam O'Brien, who's not married. Who's married to Sam Riegel. Keyleth was to become one of the leaders of the Airshari. Think Aang from Avatar. And part of her reason for journeying with Vox Machina was to complete her Aramente, which was different trials throughout the tribes to become the leader of her tribe. So she had to go through these different trials in each of the elements to become who she would be.
Oh, she's just the Avatar.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
She does succeed, and if you know anything about Archdruids and D&D, they were pretty much unkillable with Timeless Body and Infinite Wild Shapes. She's basically she can live for hundreds of years and barely age. Which is sad because she basically slows her aging and will pretty much witness everyone she loved die before she ever does. It's kind of like, what's her face from Lord of the Rings?
Arwen,
yeah. And you're welcome for the sadness you're about to feel. On the flip side, Vex and Percy get together and get married and make lots of babies.
Ugh, kids are gross.
Also throughout the series, Scanlan, who's kind of a manho, vies for the attention of Pike, who is super wholesome and sweet. After meeting his daughter he didn't know about, Scanlan does end up settling down to be more of a family man and inevitably wins the heart of Pike. And after getting permission from Grog to marry her, they get married. Grog is basically the most badass character in the series as a high-level barbarian, but he's a super sweet cinnamon roll with a really low intelligence who Pike teaches how to read.
That is fucking awesome!
It is so cute. Like, Grog, the thing is about Grog is, like, he is, like, absolutely ferocious. You cannot kill him once he hits a high level. He's just this huge-ass barbarian dude. But, like...
But he thinks he's really smart. He's Professor Grog.
Yeah, Professor the Grand Poobah. So, there's a one-shot, it's, like, the last, like, canonical story for Vox Machina. And Grog's big thing is, like, he wants to be part of Vex and Percy's wedding. So, he's just kind of sitting there, and he's, like, looking around, like, kind of sad, and Vex comes up and he's like, Grog, we have an important role for you. And he's like, oh, what can I do? And he's going to be the flower boy.
Oh,
and he's like, okay, so how do I learn? So he goes and gets some roses and practices throwing them gently. And, like, looking, like, and he's like...
He's sweet, but he's also vicious.
He is. And then he learns how to read toward the end of the show. Pike teaches him how to read because he's sad about getting made fun of because he can't read. So he's like... so we're going to learn how to spell your name, and he learns how to spell Grog, but it's spelled backwards.
Keep this in mind, and this is the character who got the deck of many things.
No, it's funny, because there's parallels to my campaign right now. I'm a halfling monk, and my character always comes up with these fucking stupid as shit ideas to get, like, over an obstacle, and it's just, like, half of them involves me going up to, like, hi, I'm Rob the Monk.
Right. That's kind of Grog. Like, Grog, he, like, during one part they were shopping, and so he was like, you know, he tried to negotiate because he's the Grand Poobah. So they're like, it's 300 gold. He's like, I'll give you 500 gold. He's like, deal. He's like, I made a great deal. Vex will be so proud of me. Meanwhile, Laura Bailey's sitting there like, what the fuck are you doing? Because it was just adorable. So I love Grog.
What about 500 gold and I tossed in a piece of armor?
Yeah, exactly. He was one of my favorite characters. But he could kick ass. It was pretty awesome. So in January of 2018, Critical Role launched its second campaign, exploring the continent of Wildbound, which is like the biggest continent on Exandria.
Sure.
It's still ongoing, so I'm not going to go into super detail about it, but give a basic rundown of everything. The story covers the Mighty Nine, an adventuring party that basically gets wrapped up in a political mess between the Dwendalian Empire and the Kryn dynasty. Underlying all of this is the bigger threat of Tharizdun, who is like the worst of the worst in D&D lore. He's just chaos. He's an absolute chaos black hole. The group consists of Caleb Widogast, a human wizard who has a pretty awful past and is on the run from a group who basically mind slaved him. Beauregard Lionette, one of Angie's favorite characters.
I love this character.
Who is a human monk who now works as the expositor for the Cobalt Soul.
So, Bobby, everything she says is like this. And when she got hurt really badly and she got knocked out, this is my favorite thing ever. She comes back, nobody else even remotely got hurt. She's like, so did everybody else get, like, knocked out? And they're like, oh, yeah, we'll have to take a long rest. We're all so weak. She's like, that's cool. I guess I could rest.
Yeah.
And she's, like, dying. She's got, like, 2 hit points.
What kind of monk is she?
She's a Cobalt Soul monk. So the Cobalt Soul was created by Matt, and it's in the world of... but it's going to be out in the new... they have a D&D canon book called the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, so it'll have the Cobalt Soul stuff in it.
Oh.
She was basically sent to join the Cobalt Soul after she basically was a delinquent. She was, like, the rich kid's, like, bad kid. But they call her the disaster lesbian. And every time she has sex with somebody, the group levels up. And this is true. If you watch it, there have been several times they have to like sex, or she goes to have sex and she sleeps with everybody. Nice. And the next session they've leveled up.
That's
so they always know. And you can literally check this. It's hilarious. Jester Lavore, who's like my favorite character, who's a tiefling character that worships a quote unquote god known as the Traveler, who has turned out to have a huge connection to Campaign 1. Ford, who is a half-orc warlock, now paladin, is basically given powers by a serpent called Ukatoa, which he has now broken that pact and is now a paladin of the Wild Mother. There's also Yasha Nyorden, which, that's my cosplay queen, who's an Azamar barbarian who's also known as the Orphan Maker. And you can guess why that is.
Goddamn.
She's also a follower of the Stormlord after being exiled from her tribe for marrying her wife without permission. There's also a lot of lesbians in this campaign.
Yeah.
She was also basically taken over, like mind-slaved by a demon in order to assist in unleashing Tharizdun, but was able to escape with the help of the Mighty Nine. Not the Brave, who is now not the Brave anymore, was a goblin rogue who was transformed by a hag from a halfling after she killed a goblin leader who was attacking her and her family. And if you're caught up to the campaign at this point, you know that she's been transformed back.
She's now Veth.
Yeah, Veth. She's Veth now. And finally, there's Caduceus Clay, who joined after Talison's Jaffe's other character, Mollymock, was killed. Caduceus is a grave cleric who worships the Wild Mother and is probably one of the nicest, chillest dudes in the campaign. He's also a vegetarian and talks to plants.
Oh. Do the plants scream when he eats them?
He does. He doesn't really eat plants. It's like, well, he does eat plants, but he can talk to. I don't know. That's actually a great question.
Tweet at them.
I need to.
Maybe they just give him their leaves and stuff. You don't
Yeah.
kill a plant by eating its fruit.
You just
of it.
eat their limbs.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Matt Mercer had said that he wanted to be there to be more gray areas and more political conflict in this campaign rather than the standard high fantasy tropes you see in D&D. So the characters are also vastly different than the standard characters you generally see, which is why, as much as I loved Campaign 1, I'm a huge fan of Campaign 2. They basically, everybody who's new, they want to be like a half-elf rogue, and I'm going to be super hot and all this. It's complete opposite in this campaign. You got people who are goblin rogues. You got people who are tieflings who, draw penises on shit.
Jeez.
You got, a half-orc that's really weak compared to everybody else. It's really good.
Fuck yeah.
So here's the important thing that you need to know about Critical Role and how it's kind of rippled out into social media and mainstream in general. With the popularity of it growing over the last 5 years, along with 5th edition being released by Wizards of the Coast, D&D has seen a huge growth in popularity in mainstream media. You see it everywhere at this point. D&D had a cameo in Stranger Things. They even have a Stranger Things D&D book now. And many big stars have come out talking about their love for D&D. This has pushed the narrative of D&D being something you play in secret from your mom's basement to being an icon of pop culture in the modern era. Think about it. Now, this day and age, if you go to a bookstore, there's a whole display of D&D books you can get. There's a lot of people asking about D&D, and you see a lot of merch now that's D&D based. So they really have, even though I think it would have grown with itself, I think Critical Role played a critical role in it.
Fuck this, I'm done.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye.
But I think because of the onset of Twitch and video gaming online, I think that also really helped perpetuate a lot of this. Some of the Critical Role storylines have also become canonical in actual D&D lore, including Arkin the Cruel, Joe Manganiello's character. Do you know who that is, Bobby? Have you ever watched True Blood? Do you know, what's Sofia Vergara's husband?
Oh, yeah, he's cute.
Yeah, he's a huge D&D nerd.
Ooh.
He even has a merch thing.
A whole finished basement for D&D.
Yeah, it looks like a hobbit hole.
Nice.
Yeah, Sofia Vergara was on Ellen and she was showing pictures of it and talking about it. She's like, I don't even understand.
Yeah, but he even has a whole merch thing for D&D.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, is he guest star on episodes and shit?
Yeah, he guest starred in an episode. They had a bunch of guests.
Nice.
Right now, Wizards of the Coast is working on a new book called The Explorer Guide to Wildmount, which will cover the continent itself. On top of that, Matt Mercer has appeared as a bard in one of the D&D comics. Vox Machina has appeared on the cover of the Wizard of the Coast comics. And classes that Mercer has created, including the Blood Hunter and the Gunslinger, are classes you can find on D&D Beyond. Okay. On top of all this, Critical Role broke off in 2018 to create their own studio and brand, which has led to comics, to merch, to a Kickstarter backed for an animated series that has been picked up by Amazon for additional episodes based on how popular the Kickstarter was. Now, they only needed $500,000. They were going to do a 1 episode or 3 episode little mini series for the Legends of Vox Machina. It ended up being backed by almost, it was millions of dollars. It was one of the highest backed Kickstarters of all time, and it was one of the fastest backed Kickstarters.
Did y'all
I backed. So,
I'm not that big of a fan.
Oh, fair.
Yeah, I like the stories, but
Angie likes when I kind of condense the stories down to what's going on. And she did actually watch a whole episode with me last week. So
that's wholesome.
It was. But the whole thing with it is it started out as a 3-part series, then got a full season, then got 2 seasons, and then got picked up by Amazon.
When is it premiere?
The end of this year.
Also, is it going to be based off on the prior campaigns or?
So yes, part of it. So part of the original part of the series that was backed is going to be a one shot. It's an offset of stuff that happened prior to the series starting.
Okay.
And then the additional seasons are going to be parts of the arcs that have happened.
Oh, cool.
So it's the Legend of Vox Machina. It's not going to hit all the way toward the end, but it's going to be about the Briarwoods. It's going to talk about their very beginnings of it and all that stuff.
Okay.
There have also been announcements for third-party merch to be released, including at Hot Topic and pop figures like Funko Pops. And I think they just released today that they were going to do a Munchkin card game themed of Critical Role.
I know Munchkin.
What basically has started as a one-off has become a huge figurehead for D&D. And while it seems pretty daunting to trying to get it now, the episodes are released as podcasts. And I highly suggest starting with Campaign 2 to get caught up on what's going on right now and then jump back to Campaign 1. The reason being is Campaign 1 is a little difficult to start from the very beginning due to the audio issues. Because you have to remember that this was like a kind of a 6-week, let's see where it's going to go. Mm-hmm. So the audio kind of sucks and it's like not as well designed as it is now. Yeah. But you can basically hit the Slayer's Take arc and Briarwood arc around episode 15 without missing much for the first few episodes.
Yeah, I'll just look at summaries.
Yeah. But what I can tell you now is that it's a behemoth. If you like, I think what makes it so unique in the sense of D&D is you could tell that they're all really good friends and that they kind of play off each other really well. Mm-hmm. Matt really does give them like a lot of leeway to establish what they do in their story, whereas you get that if you watch other D&D streams, it seems to have them like being railroaded more. Mm-hmm. But I highly suggest if you've never checked out Critical Role, check it out.
No, go ahead. Sorry, Angie.
Yeah, Matt Mercer is a really good DM to watch because he doesn't. I think in all the huge hours and hours and hours, maybe one time you can point out that he kind of railroaded him into something, and he needed it to happen. Mm-hmm. But you know the time I'm thinking of. It was just literally that one time. But he's fantastic to watch be a DM because even when they completely foil his plan, it has to happen. Like when she's stunning fist to his big bad guy and they killed it because he couldn't fly away like it was supposed to.
Yeah, but the
thing, and he was like, I have to end here because I've got to go come up with another campaign.
Yep. Right, and the thing is like with Matt and I don't ever, you don't tell people like they have to be the DM like Matt Mercer. But the thing about Matt is that he lets his players do.
Yeah.
He creates the world and lets it happen instead of him trying to force them into his narrative. So it's really good. And the thing is, like, you can see throughout this campaign, like Campaign 2, because we saw it the difference here is that we saw them from the very beginning versus like Campaign 1. Campaign 2, they're brand new characters and you just don't know what they're going to do. They could early on go help the Swindalian Empire, or they could take a hard left turn and do none of that shit. They could follow and become chaotic evil, or they could but they don't. And so I think why I like Campaign 2 so much is that you kind of see where their choices, more so where their choices lead than Campaign 1, because they had been, I think in Campaign 1, I think they were level 9 or level 8 when they started playing. So I highly recommend Critical Role. It is daunting, but if you want to listen to a podcast or if you want to watch it, I find it highly entertaining and it makes good background.
Yeah, it's funny going with the whole like DM not railroading you. We in our campaign we're fighting right now. We're about halfway through. Right, one of the things we're doing right now is going against the aspects of the 9 Lords of Hell.
Yeah,
and we're in Dis right now. We're like in the earthly version of Dis, but the one before we fought was aspect of Tiamat, and has like legendary actions and stuff. Well, I fucked our DM's plan for that up because with monks, at least my class of monk, if you hit with flurry of blows, one of the after effects you can choose is it can't take reactions till the end of my next turn. So I was like, well, because my other two things is based on like strength and wisdom rolls. I'm like, well, it's fucking gonna be like insanely high. So I was like, yeah, I think can't react for like the turn, and I hit it again, it can't react. So my fucking our DM was getting so fucking flustered about it because I'm like, yeah, can't react. Oh, action surge, can't react for 2 turns now. Because I dipped into not warrior, fighter.
Yeah.
So I literally can get action surge and battle mastery shit.
Yeah.
And it's just been fucking everything up because like now I have protection. So I'm like, yeah, cool, throw something at somebody. Oh wait, it's disadvantage.
I will tell you that
fucking great.
Yeah, you could see like monks. I think are one of the most broken classes late game because really like you're a glass cannon.
Yep.
But if you get off of all your stunning strikes and all of your shit, like Bo, that's the one that Angie's talking about. She fucked up big baddies. Like she will stunning strike them.
Yep.
And it completely fucks up their movement. They can't do anything. They can't deal with her. Now, when you get a good hit on her, she's down. But
well, no, it's great because my Sean will make we'll just make up like equipment on the fly, but he'll just charge you an ass ton.
Yeah,
monks are kind of stuck when they're close range.
Yeah,
I got these things called the Griffin's Gauntlets for 2 minutes a day. So like 24 rounds, whatever it is. My flurry, my strikes go up to 60 feet.
Oh.
So now we have flying things. I'm like, yeah, stunning strike that. Oh, it takes fall damage, by the way. Because we had a point in the campaign where we're just going against flying enemies. I was like, well,
you're kind of useless.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck, I'm stuck here. And then like our paladin Kenny. You met my friend Kenny.
Yeah.
He's playing as an Asmar paladin. Got fucking double critted by the boss. So he was fucking down. So I was like, well, I guess we're kind of fucked here.
Well, it's funny because, like, what I like about D&D especially is the fact that you can, like, how do you explain? Like, you can play the same class. Like, you can have a rogue who plays differently than the last rogue. So you kind of see that with Critical Role, because Vax was much more of an assassin type rogue that was, like, kind of like charming and all that stuff. However, Not, on the flip side, is, like, absolute chaos. That's all she is. So... I don't know. I think what I like that Critical Role did is that it did kind of streamline D&D, because a lot of people don't really know what it is until you kind of get into it. But I don't know. I really enjoy it. I hope other people check it out. And if you've never checked out D&D, I think Critical Role is a great like platform for you to kind of learn not to learn about D&D, but to learn like what it's about, not just to play it. Because there are some things that are a lot easier through Matt Mercer's rules than it is like regular.
And you know what I like the most about Critical Role is the fact that they are good friends who came together to play together, and they've stayed. I mean, they could have gone on and done other things, but they've stayed together and played together. They make room for Ashley so she can play even when she was on Blind Spot.
Yeah.
So they would always have a room for her, which, I mean, you know, you and I have talked about this recently. It's very difficult to actually play with your friends.
Yeah.
I like watching that.
Yeah. You like to, and plus it's like you could see where the evolution of their relationship is.
Exactly. And I think that that's what's so great about it, is because no matter what happens, they still make room for each other.
But you know, but on the flip side,
and the characters get along. It's not like a campaign. Like, remember, we all played together. Scoot was always at conflict. Or they didn't like each other. And I was like, why can't everybody in the campaign just like each other for once?
Yeah, but the thing is, like, and I think that's also important, is that they come together as a group instead of, like, because I think a lot of campaigns, I don't know if it's just because of D&D or if it's just the people who play, sometimes you get somebody who's like, I'm going to be super
emo.
And I don't like anybody, and I'm not going to be anybody. But I think that's also why I really like Critical Role, is because you can tell there's a relationship there. Now, to be fair, they can't really break up that much anymore because they are a company.
Yeah.
So, but I think that you can tell that this is like their thing every week. And they've talked about this before because they have different shows that they talk about Critical Role. That they could have a rough week. They could have everything like, you know, it could be stressful with their company and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, Thursday nights are their like time to play and hang out, just play D&D together. So if you ever want to check it out, it is on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern time. And you can watch all of the VOD. There's a YouTube channel you can catch up on, and you can also check out all of the VODs if you are a subscriber to the Twitch channel. So yeah.
Where can they find us?
They can find us at Facebook on the Free Rotation Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at the Free Rotation. You can find us on Instagram at the Free Rotation Podcast. You can find us on Twitch and YouTube at the Free Rotation. But not on Thursday nights because it's normally Critical Role night, so I'm watching Critical Role. And you can also check us out on our website at please don't copyright strike us. At WeBeGeeksPC.com, and you can also check us out on Spotify, Stitcher, all those places, and we are affiliates of WeBeGeeks. Did I say that? I did not. No, I said FreeRotationPC.com.
Also, if you want to get into I almost said League of Legends, Dungeons and Dragons, they have the thing called Adventure League now, and there's literally dungeon masters who travel around and put on D&D campaigns. So especially if you live in a bigger city like Atlanta.
Oh, you'll have one. Yeah, a couple of bars do it.
Yeah, they started doing it. And I think just a couple of areas around us do it. And you
can get into a game.
There are a lot of Discords that also run D&D campaigns.
Yeah, you can play all online now,
You can play online now with Roll RPG. So I would definitely check it out. And, you know, that's all I got, guys. Yeah. Have a good night. Don't forget to love each other. That's the Critical Role.
And don't forget to love each other.